15th of December, a station in Accra, Onua FM and OnuaTv invited me to represent Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who was running for the position of national chairman of the NDC. Now, I asked the producers who else was going to be on the program on Thursday, the 15th, and they said it was going to be a one-on-one. So I said, okay. So I went to the station. They gave me 8:30 on the dot. I was there, only to see my then national chairman getting ready to be interviewed on that same network. I was taken aback, a bit surprised, but I did not want to be discourteous to my national chairman by walking away, so I hung around a bit. After some time, I asked the producer of the program how long the interview was going to take so that I know if I should go and come back. And the producer said it wouldn't be too long, but it dragged on and on till about 11. Here was I, invited to be interviewed at 8:30 on Thursday. By 10:30, 11 p.m., the interview hadn't started because they had a guest and they were not even courteous to tell me that somebody else was programmed to be on the program, having allowed me to waste my fuel to come to the station and back. I said, okay, but I told the producer, since you had invited Chairman of Oswampofo, it would be fair to the Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia to give him, equal time the following day, which was Friday the 16th. They agreed. Fortunately or unfortunately, my candidate, now Chairman Asiedu Nketia, had some engagement in the night. So he elected me, he asked that I represent him on the program. I communicated that to the producers if it was okay by them, because it's always good to have an understanding, with the people you're dealing with. They said it was fine. And this communication was given to them 6 hours before broadcast, with the understanding that because Chairman of Oswampofo had been given time the previous day, I would be given, or Asiedu Nketia would be given time, on Friday the 16th. I got there, interview started. It didn't start at 8:30 on the dot, but nonetheless, it started. About 15-20 minutes into the program, if I'm not mistaken, the presenter then tells me that I should recuse myself. I should, go offset so he can interview another candidate who was contesting for the position of national chairman, which is the Honorable Yahweh Dusai. I tried to, I protested. I said, look, this is not right. You can't tell me that I should come for an interview from 8:30 till whenever, and then midstream, you ask me to get offset to allow another person to come. But we had an election in 2 days. This was an election the next day, actually. This was Friday the 16th. So my focus was to get the message out there and to try and convince as many delegates as possible who may be watching. So I obliged them. I went and sat down. They interviewed Yahweh Dusai. He said whatever he wanted to say, including disrespecting my candidate and chairman of Oswampofo. Nonetheless, I got back on set. I tried pointing out to the presenter that what he did was wrong. You don't do that. I've done this for 12 years. I've seen broadcasting practiced all over the world. I've never seen an instance where a presenter asked a guest they had invited to go off the program, then another guest who had arrived later would be interviewed before that guest. But it wasn't about me, so I obliged him. This is Asiedu Nketia's campaign, and we were trying to get our message out and to, reach delegates if they were watching or listening. Besides, we had advertised it on our platform, so there were a lot of interest in the broadcast. Now, this is the part that is interesting, and this is the part that has not been told, because I'm told subsequently the character who put up that behavior in the studio came out to lie further, and I've heard people ask me what actually happened. When I came back on set, they had this lady I had met in the makeup room. She wasn't the one who made me up. It was a different lady, but I saw her in the makeup room, in the studio, where the interview was being conducted. Whilst I was putting out candidate Asedun Ketia's message, the lady was heckling me, and before God and man, for about 20 minutes, money message, oh, about where there, for some people, about where there, you know, delegates na Gazakra, want to ama, for some people, and then, you know, or for some people, be there, no. I'm the guest in the studio. There's a presenter. You have somebody in the studio who is not the presenter, passing snide remarks for 20 minutes. At some point, I thought this character, you know, would be smart enough to whisper or to pass on a message to the lady that what she was doing was not right. But obviously, from everything that has happened, it clearly means that he himself, he doesn't know what is right from wrong. You know, he's lost in the wilderness. He, you know, unfortunately has a microphone before him, and he feels he's on top of the world, so he can misbehave, you know, abusing the platform that he has. And I feel sad for media general that they would allow their credible platform, you know, to be abused by a character like that who does not know any ethics, who does not know the difference between what is right from wrong. So this character called himself a media practitioner, instead of pointing out to the lady that what she was doing was wrong or asking her to go out, rather was the one who flared up. You know, but I mean, I wasn't surprised. So unprofessional. He was the one who rather flared up. When I had asked him to tell her to either keep quiet, because she wasn't the one conducting the interview. Apparently, according to him subsequently, from what I hear, that she's a presenter. And that is even what makes it the worst. Because if she's a presenter, as he claims, then he should know that certainly once the red light goes on, silence is expected in the studio. You know? But because he's poorly trained, he doesn't know any ethics, you know, media general has given him the platform. And you see, let me advise media general, even though the managing director has apologized to me personally, characters like that don't add anything to your numbers. If you think the noise and the foolishness they do is what would make people view and watch, they're rather putting off discerning viewers. They're rather putting off potential advertisers. Because if I'm a serious company, I wouldn't put my products, you know, on a platform with a presenter like that. I wouldn't. Any serious company would not do that. And then this character I hear comes back on Monday and says, when I was abroad, I even called him to commend the lady. I don't even have your number to begin with, let alone to call you and commend the lady. You know, my friends, for 20 minutes, the heckling continued. Initially, I took it in my stride, tried to contain it, but the sort of thing she was saying was extremely annoying. You know? And look, the campaign was bigger than me and anybody involved in the campaign. And that is why I didn't react any other way. The campaign was bigger than me. The campaign was bigger than anybody involved in the campaign. We had an election to win in the next day. I did not want the news the next day to be how hard I slapped somebody or how I misbehaved in the studio or how I chewed a microphone away. No. That is what they sought to achieve by the kinds of provocation and disrespect and ignorance that they put up. But it ended up putting us and our campaign in very good light. And we thank God that in spite of the so-called presenters, the ladies heckling, in spite of the crazy and provocative things she said for 20 minutes, viewers did not hear her because she wasn't mic'd. We're using the lapel mics. But if you're in the studio, it's just, she was sitting just about an arm's length away from me. So whatever she was saying went straight into my ears. And you can imagine trying to sell a candidate and somebody sitting right next to you and saying, "Mundi message, oh, I said in Kitiadia, he's not marketable," and all of that. That is what the lady was saying. And that is what, really got me upset at some point. Having contained it for, all that minutes, thought, look, enough is enough, And I pointed out to him, being the unprofessional, uncouth, untrained, illiterate broadcaster that he is, he would not listen to advice by people who have done it before. And Media General, sadly, I know some very, very good people in Media General, including the managing director, very professional, senior person in the business, and it's a disgrace, because this is not how we want, future broadcasters. This is not how we want what we want them to learn. We want them to learn from the best, so that when they go anywhere, they can excel. So I thought I would put the facts as they were, so that people would understand that we had, the most important thing for me was the fact that we had an election to win. So whatever provocation I could, if he had even slapped me, trust me, I would have taken it. We have an election to win. That came first. Nothing was going to get in the way of comporting ourselves and putting up a very good behavior. We are not notorious for misbehaving publicly, and what he forgets is that in this day and age, you could have a microphone, all right. People have access to all kinds of microphones, doing Facebook Live, can go on Twitter, you can go on any other platform and sell your message, but this being traditional media, I've never been to his studio, but for that particular day, that was my first and certainly would be my last, because such a character would not be given the pleasure of even, standing in. He's stark illiterate. He hasn't learned anything after all these years of being on radio. Why would you give him the pleasure of, standing next to you, or, of interviewing you? No, certainly not. So I thought I would put these records, because I'm told he came back and lied to the public, that the lady had not provoked me that much, forgetting that he thinks the people are stupid. And if Media General takes public opinion seriously, they would do something about a character like that, who is abusing their platform, who is making their platform unattractive, who has decided, to silly piddle, So it is what it is. It's happened. We've won. The focus was eyes on the prize. For me, that was the most important thing. The provocation. If you don't like what, get out of my studio. As if said some powers be. And then Media General Pamwa Unye Juma. And then Media General Pamwa Unye Juma. And then Media General Pamwa, you've come to a standstill. A character who's been sacked before, please. And that is what it is. we are not easily provoked by characters like that. We are made of steel, you know, and we know how to conduct ourselves, you know, publicly, especially when we have a very important goal to achieve. Keep your eyes on the prize, and that is the message I would finally like to leave with you, my friends, and to all the young people who are looking up to us, and to, you know, everyone, you know, that whatever you're doing, keep your eyes on the prize. People will try to derail you. You know, people will try to be in your way. Don't give them the pleasure of stalling your success. Imagine if something untoward had happened in the studio. Saturday's talk would have been how Asidun Ketia and his people are not disciplined. You know, I wasn't going to give him that pleasure. We are too thick and too experienced in the business to, you know, to capitulate, you know, to the nonsense of characters like that, you know. And my sadness as a practitioner, I learned from the very best, you know. I learned from the very, 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 very best in the system. You know, my sadness is how characters like that are reducing broadcasting to public ridicule, because this is not the way it's supposed to be. This is not the way, you know, it's supposed to be. You know, and that when you invite somebody, you have to show courtesy, especially when the person has tolerated everything that you've done. I mean, from Thursday, when you disrespected me by giving me time to come to the station and not telling me that you had invited somebody else, and for me to wait from 8:30 to 11, as if that was not bad enough. Next day was doing the program, you got somebody else mid-track, as if that was not bad enough, and then you get to say you are defending a colleague. If you don't, you see, characters like that don't even know how to look each other in the face and tell each other the truth. So all they know is this sub-imperious, you know, market behavior, noise. They did nothing of substance. No serious person would waste their time, you know. And media general, we expect much from you, because I know you've got the people who've done it before. I know you've got the people who've got the pedigree, who've got the class. Now they're on her TV3, and the way they do their things on TV3, doesn't he listen to the likes of Obi? Doesn't he listen to them? Is that how they conduct themselves? Doesn't he listen to other presenters, you know, who are very, very professional? Doesn't he? And no wonder he's stuck right here in Ghana, because, I mean, he's got nowhere to go. We want to be from practicing journalism, baby. On to me, baby. On to me from practicing baby. Wapim. You know, there's no growth. There's no growth, there's no improvement, there's no class, there's nothing. It's just ignorance, utterly ignorant. That's a character we had, you know, who felt he was larger than life. And it is the people you interview, whether NDC, MPP, CPP, or whatever, who make you who you are on air. And to opa on air, you know, behave yourself. You know, most important thing, as I said, his superiors have apologized to me, and I'll let it drop, because I was going to write formally to the, you know, media commission to draw their attention to the uncouth behavior that he put up. You know, but once his boss has offered an apology, end of it. My surprise was, after the boss had apologized, he came back the next evening, as I'm told, you know, to spew nonsense. But if this is how they want to run media general and want to run down Onua FM, this is people's investment. Anything amount for Sika Eshe in Ghana, no. Because Obi didn't sweat, tears, and blood set it up company. Because they want the company to grow and for them to make small profits. Where are all too hard? Which serious sponsor would come and put their money in there? Which serious sponsor would come and put their money in there? You know, and if they are minded, if Media General is minded, as I've said, about public opinion, you know, they'll take this thing up and they would make sure that it never happens again. So I want to thank you. Sorry I've taken so much of your time. To thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. For all the messages of support that we got. This is how things are supposed to be, and I can't be